Hey everybody, welcome back to Jimbo's Barbecue Hacienda, simple yet crowd-pleasing recipes for your grill. I am Jim Haas, thank you for joining. Today's recipe, grilled boudin. What the heck is that? I'll explain it all to you. Let's do this. Alright, so grilled boudin, B-O-U-D-I-N. It's a French word, pronounced boudin. It's very popular here in Louisiana, all throughout the South really, but particularly Louisiana and South Louisiana. A quick history of boudin. It was brought here over 2 centuries ago by the French, a group of settlers. They called themselves the Acadians. Eventually that word was anglicized and we call them now Cajuns, commonly. And then eventually they brought boudin down from Nova Scotia as well. Now for years I've been telling people that the French brought it over in the 1700s, and then I was doing some more research on it, and depending on which article you read, it was the 1800s, the 1600s, the 1700s. So safe to say it was over 2 centuries ago the French brought us boudin. Now traditionally it is pork and rice with Cajun seasoning injected into a natural casing. Now, since we call this series Simple Recipes, yeah, I'm using store-bought boudin. I'm going to show you how to grill it up. If you want to go down, deep South Louisiana, down Houma or Grand Isle, a lot of parts of Lafayette, where the Cajun roots run deep, you'll find a lot of guys that home make their own boudin. I'm from California. I've been complimented on my grilling technique as far as boudin goes by legit Cajuns, so I'll just take that as it is and run with it. So yeah, we're doing store-bought. Now, I said that traditionally it's pork and rice with Cajun seasoning. The boudin I've got today, there's a little something extra in it. We're doing boudin with crawfish tails, so that's a little bit extra. That's lagniappe, if you will. Another French word. Hey, look how much we're learning today. Isn't this fun? Lagniappe meaning a little more, a little extra. So yeah, crawfish tail boudin today. Basically, you want to preheat the grill. I've got this preheating right now. You want to get it up to a good high temp and then bring it down. When I do cook the boudin, when I do put them on the grill, it's going to be at about a low to medium heat. Leaning a little more toward medium. I hesitate to give you an actual temperature number because with most gas grills, this is an analog temp gauge. This is giving you an average oven temp of basically right behind this temp gauge. So it's not giving you a dead accurate number. So what I tell people all the time, think of your temp gauge, if you have an analog gauge, split it into thirds and think of it as low, medium, and high. And kind of cook that way. When you follow grilling recipes and it says preheat your grill to 600 degrees, every grill is going to have a different reading. If somebody's hood is a little shorter than this one, it's going to be closer to the flame, different reading. So now that we know more about the history of boudin and analog temp gauges than you'd ever want to know, let's get into cooking this stuff. All right, I got my heat just about where I want it. So as far as prepping boudin, pretty simple. I'm just going to poke holes in the top of it. That's really just to relieve some of that pressure. The skin, the outer casing is very delicate, and so you want to cook it, and this is also the reason I cook at that medium to low medium heat. You want it hot enough where the outer skin gets crispy, but you don't want it to explode. Poking holes in the top is going to help that, and I think since we're doing the beloved Southern Louisiana boudin today, a change in the apron would be the right thing to do, right? Anyone else watching from the SEC may have just turned the video off. So, just poke some holes in the top. I've seen guys, poke holes on both sides. For me, just poking holes on one side works just fine. And where we usually serve this, we do quite a bit of entertaining, and this is usually the appetizer. I'll do some grilled boudin bites. You cut it up into bite-sized pieces when it's all done. But since this is lunchtime today, I've decided to add some portobello mushrooms. If you're a fan of portobellos, real simple grill recipe with a spoon, scoop out the scales, and then cut them into pieces about that big. Give them a good coating of balsamic, soy sauce, and a little bit of salt, and throw them on the grill. These aren't going to go on till the last couple minutes because these grill up pretty quick. But the boudin is ready to go on. So here we go. We'll let those sit for a few minutes. We'll come back and check them. We'll give them a little nudge with the tongs. If they naturally come off of the grates, if they're not sticking, they're ready to flip over. And I'll roll them over usually 3 times, so each side gets nice charred up, grilled up 3 times over. And this is also a good reason to make sure your grates are always properly seasoned with either a vegetable oil or a vegetable shortening. It really helps to keep food from sticking to the grates. So if you give that little nudge, and this applies really for any meat, and it's still sticking to those grates, you don't want to flip it because then you're going to tear it open and lose all the innards of the boudin and everything else. So for the most part, if it releases on its own, time to flip. Pretty simple. Come back in a couple minutes. Okay, I brought you in close so you can kind of get a good look at what's happening here. So these have been on here maybe, see, that's just, they are ready to flip over. And they move that freely. These have been on here maybe 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes at most. So we flip them over. Give them that first flip. And, you may see some of the ends start to loosen up and some of the innards start to come out, and that's okay. These things always lose a little bit from the inside. Just turn your heat down if it gets to be too much. Basically let that side go now for another 3 or 4 minutes. And we'll come back. All right, it's been about another 4 minutes, and they are ready to turn over again. So this is now the second flip. We'll do this 1, maybe 2 more times. I like a nice crispy casing. I tend to overdo mine a little bit, especially on the grill, just to get that casing a little crisper. There are several ways to cook these things. Of course, Louisiana, there's fried, there's baked, there's boiled, there's broiled, and there's grilled. I prefer grilling, of course. That might shock some people. So we'll let those roll for another few minutes. All right, they're ready for another flip. Now some of these started oozing out the top a little bit, so I had to turn the heat down. This guy here in the back, I'm going to move him up to the front. Gas grills by nature are going to get a little warmer in the back just because that's how they vent and exhaust, and that heat will gather up. But if you're attempting boudin on your grill, you kind of got to know the personality of your grill and work it accordingly. Oh yeah, that one looks real nice already. And chances are, if you try this at home for the first time, you're going to fail. This was not a learned skill overnight with boudin. It's very delicate casing. When in doubt, start with lower heat than you might think. Be patient with it. It'll be all good. You'll get there. All right, I think one final flip. And let that go for another few minutes, and we're going to be just right. Now, I will say this while we're in here close. I don't want to see any cute comments down below about my dirty grill. This here is well seasoned. Yes, there is a difference. Let me just derail those comments right now. All right, at this point, I'm going to put these portobellos on. These aren't going to take long. I am going to turn up the heat under the portobellos. These are really just a couple minutes per side, and they'll be good to go. If you've never had portobellos like this, I know there's not a lot of fans of mushrooms in general out there, but if you like mushrooms, give this a try. I'd be surprised if you didn't like it. And we'll be back. Oh yes. All right. I could feel the crispy casing. So I'm going to let those sit here for a minute, let them cool off for a minute, and then we'll cut them up using a serrated knife. Straight-edged sort of style knife on boudin is not going to work out so well because of the tender center. This is also what throws people off sometimes because it looks like a sausage link. Polish sausage, Italian sausage, something like this. Looks like a sausage link, but the inner texture, that tender center, is much different, and it just throws people off, and right away they say, oh, I don't like it. Give it a chance. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. Believe it or not, this is 2 good-sized portobellos. They do shrink up a little bit, so know that if you're going to grill them. Today it's just me and the wife, so you know this would be a fun little afternoon lunch. Let these cool off a minute. We'll see you back here for the moment of truth. Welcome back, the moment of truth. Here we go. Just picking that up, I can feel it's a crispy skin. So, still very hot. Serrated knife, bite-sized pieces, and away you go. Thank you once again for joining. Subscribe to this silly little YouTube channel, trying to make something here. I think every video is getting a little better, a little smoother. Hey, where can you buy boudin if you're outside of Louisiana or outside of the southern states? Most big cities I travel to will have a Cajun themed restaurant or deli. A lot of these kind of places actually ship it in. They overnight it all the time. Boudin is a big thing in a lot of these Cajun themed stores. Boudin alligator fillets. Yes, I will be doing grilled alligator in the very near future. And it's one of these things that, you know, I travel a lot doing cooking demos, and I try to bring, logistically if I can, I try to bring something from Louisiana. And it's usually at least boudin, sometimes boudin and gator fillets. And people love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. So, hey, life is short. Eat well and enjoy yourselves. Thank you once again for watching Jimbo's Barbecue Hacienda. I'm Jim Haas. See you next time. Cheers.